Only about 16% of Americans ever reach $30,000 in net worth. And according to a groundbreaking study from the Financial Health Network, hitting this number does more than pad your wallet. It actually rewires how your brain makes decisions about money. So why does everything feel twice as hard before $10,000? But after $30,000, your financial journey seems to gain momentum all on its own. If you're living with that anxiety about every single bill, or still checking your account every morning, I'm about to show you the science behind why most people stall at $20,000 and how you can escape that plateau for good. This isn't just about saving more. It's a complete transformation in how you think, build systems, and finally, make money work for you. I'm Jim, and today on Jim Invests, I'll break down the real $30,000 rule with stats, actionable steps, and the classic mistakes almost everyone makes right when they're on the edge of freedom. Let's dive in. Let's get real for a minute. Have you ever noticed how that first $10,000 in savings feels like crawling through mud? But somehow, once you get past $20,000, things start picking up speed. There's an actual psychological reason for that. A 2019 study from the Journal of Behavioral Finance revealed that the majority of savers experience significantly less stress and more forward momentum as soon as they cross the $25,000 threshold. But $30,000 isn't just another pit stop on the way to $100,000. It's the launch pad most people never even realize they're standing on. Think about how most people approach wealth building. They see it as this straight, linear march. Save $1, you're $1 richer. $10,000 means you're 10% to $100,000. $20,000, you're 20% there, right? But that's dead wrong. Wealth doesn't grow in a straight line. That kind of thinking is why so many people wind up stuck, running harder but not getting anywhere. Here's how that financial journey usually looks, and you might recognize yourself here. At $5,000 saved, every single purchase still feels heavy. You're double-checking your balance every day with that knot in your stomach. Will you make rent? What if the car needs repairs this month? What happens if your hours get cut at work? This is pure financial survival mode. Every decision could tip you off balance. Once you get to $10,000, something subtle changes. That daily anxiety loosens. You don't have to check your balance 3 times a day. The research backs this up. Princeton's Daniel Kahneman found that financial stress drops measurably when Americans build an emergency fund close to $10,000. You can now handle minor emergencies without everything falling apart. This is what the pros call your first true safety milestone. But let's mark your progress. That's just the beginning. At $20,000, things shift again. You're no longer just surviving. You're actually starting to play offense. Suddenly, quitting a toxic job or passing up an exploitative offer seems less risky. You might start a side hustle or, at the very least, think about contributing to a 401k or IRA. You've moved from pure survival into what I call the growth mindset stage. You start thinking about investments or retirement, maybe for the first time ever. And here's where the common mistake happens. Most people assume that $30,000 is just another notch on the belt. A bit more money, a bit more comfort, maybe a fancier vacation. But $30,000 is where the physics of wealth building literally change. It's the critical crossover point. It's not just a bigger cushion. It's your entry ticket to the systems and opportunities that create freedom, not just safety. To illustrate, let's draw a line. At $30,000, compound interest stops being just a concept out of a financial textbook. It becomes a real, working force in your life. According to Fidelity, someone who starts with $30,000 and invests it at an average of 7% annual return could see that money double in just over 10 years. That's the magic. You're no longer just saving. Your money is starting to pull its own weight. And get this, behavioral economists call this the shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. This is backed by studies from Harvard and Stanford showing that the mindset shift around this net worth milestone directly impacts risk tolerance, investment success, and even life satisfaction scores. Once you hit $30,000, you stop seeing every dollar as something you need to guard with your life. Instead, dollars become tools. Some stand guard as your emergency fund. Others head out into the world as investments. And some even scout new opportunities for building more. Let me make this even more vivid. When you're making money decisions at $5,000, spending $100 feels like a landmine. At $20,000, you'll still pause, but you can breathe. A $100 spend still gets real scrutiny. But at $30,000, something fundamental changes. Now you ask, will this $100 make me more money, buy me more freedom, or open up new possibilities? Dollars become employees you deploy, not just wages you squirrel away. Let's pause and check. How close are you to your next milestone? If you're determined to break through your current plateau, drop your biggest savings target in the comments right now. I want to see what everyone's working towards and how big you're dreaming. It's my favorite part of these videos, connecting with you in real time. Here's the next pitfall I see all the time. Too many folks think $30,000 is an invitation to buy more, upgrade the apartment, get a newer car, or go all out on an expensive trip. Sure, you could do those things, but wealth builders treat crossing $30,000 very differently. This is when you flip from defense to offense. Instead of just protecting your balance, you can start positioning money to create even more money. You unlock access to things you simply couldn't risk before. Diversified investments, real retirement account funding, even upskilling or a try-it-aside business. At $30,000, you can survive a failed investment without total disaster. Most importantly, you start to build systems that generate automatic growth, even while you sleep. I call this the freedom flywheel. This isn't a theory, it's a feedback loop I've watched in my own life and in hundreds of stories from viewers. Once you pass $30,000, you have enough money to buy yourself time. That time gets reinvested in skill building that grows your earning potential. That new income gets systematized, auto-saving, auto-investment. Suddenly, your progress accelerates. But here's the tragic part. Statistically, most people never make it past $25,000. According to U.S. bank research, 69% of households stall at or below $20,000 in total net savings. Even if they hit it once, they tend to slip back within 3 years. Why? Because comfort kills ambition. At the first taste of security, people stop learning, stop risking, stop pushing for more growth. They plateau right at the threshold of truly exponential progress. So let's break this cycle. The $30,000 rule is about leverage, not luxury. With $30,000, you start to buy choice, time, and freedom at a rate that compounds even faster than your money can. You move from simply working for money to having money that works for you. Now, let's get concrete. I need you to see why gurus who talk only about the $100,000 milestone are missing the real transformation. What happens at $30,000 isn't just about more money, it's about power. The power to say no. No to jobs that drain you. No to scammy side hustles. No to financial offers that look good but don't serve your future. Reflect on your last job offer. If you had $300, would you negotiate hard, or would you take whatever was thrown your way just to keep afloat? But at $30,000, something profound shifts. You start asking deeper questions. Is this role going to grow my skills? Does the culture fit who I want to be? This is called no power, and it is one of the most underrated superpowers in all personal finance. Desperation is expensive. When you're desperate, you'll take deals you never truly wanted. But with money in the bank, you decide. The ability to say no to the wrong opportunities means you say yes to only what aligns with your values, your growth, and your goals. Let's talk about what really happens to your relationships at this stage. When you have $30,000 in the bank, your friends, your co-workers, maybe even family, will start treating you differently. Some people get curious and want your advice. Be flattered, but recognize that most want the shortcut without the work. Others get awkward, maybe even envious. Here's my advice from years in the trenches. Don't become the person who flaunts their money, but don't shrink yourself either. You earned this. The discipline and skills that got you here are yours forever. Now, this is the moment most people fumble. They think $30,000 means they can finally coast. The truth, it's the starting line, not the finish line. If you stop here, if you stop learning and stop automating your systems, you'll get stuck on that plateau, and the next person who hustles up behind you will blow right past. Here's the game plan shift: system over goal. Don't focus just on having more. Build mechanisms that save, invest, and grow your money automatically. The difference is simple but powerful. Goal-based is temporary. System-based is permanent and scalable. Ready for an actionable roadmap? Here are 3 research-backed steps every $30,000 saver must take to start building their own freedom engine. First, automate everything. Set your checking account to auto-transfer a fixed amount, even as little as 10% of your net income, into a high-yield savings or investment account every month. Bank of America's data shows people who automate their savings stash away 44% more over 5 years compared to their manual saver peers. So set up auto transfer, ignore the temptation to pause it, and let compounding take it from there. Second, diversify intentionally. Don't put all your eggs in your employer's plan or a basic savings account. Allocate funds across at least 3 buckets: an emergency fund, an index fund or retirement account, like an IRA or 401k, and self-investment, such as skills, certifications, or even a small business. As Vanguard's research found, people who split their savings into defined categories are twice as likely to stick to long-term wealth building. If you want the exact allocation, screenshot this: 30% emergency, 40% retirement or investing, 30% self-investment. Third, protect your downside immediately. This means building a moated emergency fund and identifying your largest financial risks, like job loss, medical bills, or major repairs. According to a recent Pew Charitable Trusts report, 60% of people who fall from $30,000 or more back to zero do so because of an unexpected expense within 3 years, with zero buffer or insurance. Ensure the burn rate of your lifestyle for 3 to 6 months, and you take 90% of disaster scenarios off the table. Make yourself disaster-proof. Comment below if you've ever hit a savings plateau. What held you back, and what finally pushed you through? I read every single story and love seeing our community learn together. We're not done yet. Let's visualize the big mistakes that cause most people to lose their hard-won progress after reaching $30,000. Because being forewarned is half the battle. Check out these top 3 traps, illustrated by real research and what I see every day as a financial coach. First, lifestyle creep. About 52% of Americans who cross the $30,000 savings line increase their spending to match, according to the Federal Reserve. Instead of investing the newfound freedom, they upgrade cars, apartments, vacations, locking themselves into higher monthly costs. Avoid this by freezing your lifestyle for at least 6 months, post-milestone, and funneling raises or windfalls into your systems, not your spending. Second, chasing quick fixes or flashy investments. Windfall psychology research from the Behavioral Economics Association shows that 63% of people who suddenly have $30,000 lose at least half of it within 3 years by gambling on risky ventures or bad stock tips. So the fix? Stick to boring, proven, diversified strategies. And always give yourself a 24-hour cooling-off period for any financial leap. Third, failing to upgrade your systems. Once you hit $30,000, your problems aren't solved, they've just changed. The single biggest risk now is assuming what got you here will get you there. Treat your systems, automation, diversification, and risk protection as living things. Update every 6 months. Seek new tools. Keep learning. Want my free downloadable checklist with these 3 steps and pitfalls, plus extra resource links? The PDF's in the description right now. Grab it and keep it next to your desk as your next savings blueprint. Let's contrast 2 very real stories from my community. Call this the tale of Sarah and Jake. In 2018, Sarah reached $30,000 and immediately put $20,000 down on a luxury BMW. 5 years later, that car is worth $12,000, but the monthly payments still eat half her disposable income. Same starting point. Jake takes his $30,000 and splits $20,000 into a mix of index funds, a small Roth IRA, and a self-paced business certification course. Fast forward 5 years, Sarah's net worth has hardly changed, but Jake's investments are worth over $35,000, even with the market's ups and downs. According to a 2023 report by Investopedia, this split outcome is the most common real-world example of the difference between accumulators and builders, those who spend the $30,000 on lifestyle versus those who systematize and invest for the long term. If you spot a bit of yourself in Sarah, don't beat yourself up. The hardest part of all is resisting the urge to celebrate your milestone with instant gratification. But as dozens of behavioral science studies confirm, the power to delay gratification at this scale isn't just a money skill, it's a life superpower. It spills into every area: relationships, career, health, creativity. Hitting $30,000 proves to yourself you can stick with hard habits, and that's the fuel to get you to every bigger goal that follows. By the way, saving isn't about punishment. You don't need to live like a monk to build wealth. Real savers learn to spend on things that pay them back. Maybe that's a $3,000 certification that doubles your pay, or a $5,000 stake in a friend's food truck that generates $200 a month, or $10,000 into boring index funds left to bake for 20 years. Remember, $30,000 is not your destination, it's your launching pad. It's where you step from being a saver into the ranks of someone who builds actual wealth, making every dollar a hard-working employee, not just a trophy.
So wherever you are in your journey, at $5,000, $15,000, or almost at $30,000, keep going. Don't get discouraged if it feels slow. Every dollar saved is a vote for the person you're becoming. And if you're already across the $30,000 mark, your real journey is just getting started, building systems, protecting progress, and amplifying every choice you can now make. Keep growing, keep learning, and know that your true destiny is about the transformation, not just the balance in your bank account. Let's bring it home. Today, you've seen why the first $10,000 is about survival. The next $10,000 is about resilience, but crossing $30,000 is where you unlock leverage, freedom, and a whole new way your brain approaches money. I've shown you the step-by-step system. Automate your savings, diversify with intent, and protect what you've built to avoid the traps that erase the gains made by most savers. The key to real wealth isn't crossing one finish line, but building a system that never plateaus.
If you're ready to put this into action, here's your next move.
First, today, set up your auto transfer for savings or investment, even if it's just $25.
Second, over this next month, review your savings allocations and set SMART goals for each bucket: emergency, investing, self-improvement. Third, within the next 6 months, audit your systems and habits. Are you protecting your downside with the right insurance? Are you learning new skills to increase earning? Use the downloadable checklist in the description. It's your practical roadmap to keep every dollar working like an employee and avoid common pitfalls. You'll start to see the mental shift and real momentum as soon as you automate and put even a small system in place. Most viewers report feeling the transformation within their first 90 days of taking action, and the compounding benefits roll in as you keep pushing those milestones. Remember, wealth isn't about a magic number. It's about building a process that compounds your choices as much as your money. If you're committed to reaching the next stage, subscribe to Jim Invests now and share this video with anyone you know who's stuck in a financial rut. Next week, we're breaking down the exact psychological triggers behind saving plateaus and showing step-by-step setups for index fund investing. So turn on notifications for that deep dive. Finally, this video is for education and information, not individual investment advice. No money system or milestone is without risks, and your decisions should always be informed by your unique goals and, if needed, a licensed financial professional. Now, comment below, what's the one thing holding you back from your next milestone, and what's the big win you're planning for this year? Let's build your momentum together.